In this video, we're going to be talking about why your listens and shortlists don't matter that much on voices.com and how you can still book a job without them. Good morning. Happy Monday, everybody. Morning when I'm recording this, as you can tell by my voice. I'm Jesse Carroll, professional voice actor and coach. I've done over 2,000 voiceover jobs. I'm the narrator for Backroad Truckers on Hulu and History Channel. And I am the founder of VoiceOver School, where we have 260 plus killers booking their first job, going full-time, and yes, even earning over six figures in their very first year. So for those of you who are longtime watchers of the channel, we're going to be doing a little bit of a different format. On Mondays, I'm going to be answering all your many questions and comments on my YouTube videos throughout the week, throughout last week. We'll be answering them today to start off the week on a good note and try and get you to that next level. We're going to be answering some of the questions and comments going on in VoiceOver School as well. So you can see some of the things that are happening in there, and all of it's designed to try and get you to the next level and give you some more clarity about how this business and pay-to-play sites actually work. Pay-to-play sites for you new in VoiceOver are the sites, the casting sites, so you pay money to get on the sites and they give you auditions and you audition for them. It's also where I get about, I'd say 85% of my work between voices.com, Voice123, and others. Anyway, so we're going to be answering a question that, people have all the time. Like, see, here's the thing. People on voices.com, when they're first getting on there, live and die by the stats. And they'll look at listens and likes, and they'll get really frustrated because sometimes it looks like you're not getting very many listens. But if you stay tuned towards the end of this video, I'll tell you exactly why it looks like you're not getting that many listens, but you are. Why you're not getting that many shortlists, but you could be. And how you can book jobs without getting a listen or a shortlist on voices.com. So stay tuned to the end of the video and I'll tell you exactly like that. Okay, first comment over on YouTube as we head over there is Scott Odd says, "This is great advice. And by the way, my full-time job is selling rugs." Seriously. Good one, Scott. Is that the truth? That's awesome. Good job, Scott. So you know exactly what I'm talking about. That's in regards to, if you haven't seen it, if you're not booking, it's not your voice. Watch that video. And I talk about, why is his name escaping me now? No. Michael Kostroff, who wrote Audition 101, he talks about being a carpet salesman and having some designer rugs that you make and you sell the rugs and this is how you make them, and if people are buying, they're not. In regards to auditions, when you're doing an audition, don't try to give them exactly what they want. Do what you do. And if they're not buying, that's fine. Go on to the next one. It makes you stand out in the marketplace and makes you more unique. So next time you're approaching an audition, make sure you do it from your point of view. Yes, pay attention to what the client's looking for, but don't try to give them exactly what they're looking for. That's what everybody's going to do, and that's how you sound like an AI. What's your point of view on the script? What can you add to it from your own life while staying within the parameters of what they're asking for overall to make you sound more unique and more like yourself? It's an honor and a blessing, as well as a little embarrassing that I have all four microphones mentioned. Right on, Kojo Prince 3572. Yeah, everyone's got to change your handles. Like, let's get some real ones. Unless there's 3,571 Kojo Princes and you just got the next one. All four mics that he's talking about is from a video I'm talking about the only microphones that really matter in voiceover. Other than that, you can feel free to just ignore it. But here's the thing. When you do voiceover, when you go to a professional studio, if you're doing a big job and they bring you into a studio, they're going to have like one of three mics in there usually. But the reason that there's four mics is because I think the best starter mic is the Rode NT1 5th generation. Although I have recently found out that if you get the Signature series, exact same thing as the 5th generation, only it doesn't have the USB plugs, so it's like $100 cheaper. So get that. Because you don't need the USB plug on it. You're not going to be using the Rode NT1 as a USB mic anyway. But the three mics that you're going to find in a professional home studio are going to be the Sennheiser 416, the Neumann TLM 103, or the Neumann U87. U87 is about $3,500 and get a used one maybe for $2,500. But the TLM 103 will get you pretty close to it. So most people that have a home studio would have the TLM 103 or the Sennheiser 416. If you're doing a job where you're doing video games animation and there's other characters in it, you have to have the mic that everybody else is using. It's just the way it is. And they'll say that when I see it all the time. They ask me to list the mics that I have or have access to when I submit for them so that I can sound the same as everybody else, or I got to jump on a plane and go to wherever they're doing the thing. That's just the way it is. So why around with mics just to hear a little bit different flavor in your voice? Just get one of the common bad boy mics that you'll find in professional studios around the world. Let's see. Hi Jesse, love all your videos, all the videos you put up for us. Question is, if I already have my mic, the Rode NT1 5th generation, and my Interface Scarlett 2i2 4th generation headphones, but I don't have a computer or a laptop, can I use my iPhone Pro 15 Pro Max, or do I have to have an Amazon Fire tablet to get started booking voiceover jobs? Okay, I got the 16 Pro, And I don't know if you've seen, like, this is like, that's a USB-C. I guess maybe you could hook the Focusrite into the USB-C on here if it's the same input. But no, you can't do that. Don't use your iPhone Pro 15 Max unless there's something I'm missing. If you can do that and that's the biggest hack in the world and it works, sure, go for it. Don't do it. You need a computer. I wouldn't do a Fire tablet. I've heard of some people being able to make a tablet work. But the thing is, if you're doing voiceover and you're doing it for long periods of time and you're doing tons of auditions, which you should be doing, it's going to help you get better, get more proficient at it, and you're going to make way more money. You need to make things as comfortable as possible. You need a desk. You don't need monitors. I have 2 sets just because. Don't need them. You just need headphones, interface. Absolutely 100% you need a computer that you can type on. And then you can even do things to make it even more comfortable for yourself. Like I have a standing desk because I don't want to sit down all day, so I stand up sometimes. It makes my back feel better. I've got one of these, a magic pad, so I can do gestures and move around and edit way faster. Got a wireless keyboard as well to make it even faster. Those are the things that are going to make voiceover more comfortable. The more comfortable it is, the longer the hours you can put in, the more money you're going to make. It's just the way it is. So don't make things hard for yourself by just going cheap. Going cheap on equipment in voiceover is going to end up costing you more money in the long run. In time, having to still get the professional stuff anyway. And you've already got the Rode NT1 and the 2i2, so just go all the way. You can also, most people don't know this, you can like finance computers, rent computers, borrow a computer, just get like a hard drive if you can. Like I know everyone's working on a budget, but honestly, you're going to need a computer. So I would just figure it out. Last year in voiceover alone was the first year that I cleared 200K in 1 year. Most of the time I'm usually around like 150, maybe a little bit lower, maybe a little bit higher sometimes, but last year I smashed it. And just off voiceover, no coaching. I couldn't have done that if I didn't have like all the pro gear that I have and make everything as comfortable as I can. And the reason I bring this up is because the investment that you put in voiceover in the beginning is so insignificant compared to how much you could make if you put in the effort and put in the training and all that stuff in voiceover. So like think about it. If you're going to put in, let's say $2,000 into voiceover between like your stuff you need for like, I don't know, well, maybe a little bit more if you get a computer. So let's say $3,000 on the high end. You can get yourself a decent computer. You can get a MacBook Air for like $1,200. You got your microphone, you got your interface, you get your headphones, the cables, the stand, and then pay-to-play memberships and some training. For $3,000 in a year, you could be unusual, but you could clear 6 figures. The reason I say it's unusual is because not a lot of people have done it. In fact, so few that when I say that I know how to do it, and I did it from the first year, a lot of people don't believe me. And I have students that have done it in their first year too, that have never done voiceover before. So is it possible? Yes, but you got to move fast. You got to come in with a certain level of skill to begin with. This learning curve is pretty steep in the beginning, but then it flattens out. And you got to put in a lot of effort. But on the flip side, if you even get half that, still like to make 50 grand, to make 30 grand, to make 20 grand, it's a no-brainer. $3,000 and you're like 10x the money you're making. I feel personally attacked. Lord knows I was doing this to get that deep Darth Vader, Morgan Freeman type voice. Funny thing is, last night I did an audition without any of those EQ effects except for slight parametric equalizer and mastering. Adobe Audition, I got shortlisted. For now on, I'm only doing minimum in regards to processing. That was in a video I did, the audio mistakes you make. Most people process their shit. I know some people that do book a lot by over-processing their shit, but I would argue they would book more if they did less. You just want it to like bring out the best parts of your voice, sound a little bit more present. When you're auditioning for pay-to-play, you want it to sound like what the finished project might look like on the minimum side. And I wouldn't do like either 3-to-1 compression is safe if you don't know what to do with compression, or gain stage it. If you don't know what to do that, just hire a professional to do the audio chains for you so they sound good. So if you don't know how to EQ, don't touch it. And if you don't know how to compress, just do 3-to-1. It'll make your audition pop a little bit more and it's safe. Other than that, hire a pro to do it for you. I don't have time for all the other comments. But now into what I said we were going to do. Okay, so these next 2 comments come from inside of VoiceOver School. We've got their names and faces blurred out because I just don't have time to ask everybody if I can use their post. So we're just going to use their post without saying who they are. Mauricio, it's okay to say his first name. Mauricio says, Voice's client chose me for a job and scheduled a live session, but still hasn't awarded me the booked booked me, I guess he was trying to say, via the platform. Is this normal? As the title says, I mentioned for a project, the client sent me a DM asking me if they would like to do a session via Google Meets. Point of the matter is that the session is in an hour. I still have not been awarded the job. On Voices, is this common? Okay. Here's my answer to that question, everybody. Whenever a client tries to get you into a live session before they award you the job, that can happen. That's actually kind of common because they don't think about awarding you the job. Because a lot of the time, if they're new on pay to play, you would do the session and then you send them an invoice and you pay down the line. So it takes some getting used to for people that are new on, like, let's say voices.com, that they got to pay first. And also, you can't be sharing contact information with clients until they award you the job. So what you simply say when somebody's trying to get you into a live directed session next time, I'm sure it's going to be fine this time if you've already done it. I'm sure they're going to hire you. It'll all be good and Voices will get your back. Just next time somebody tries to get you into a live directed session before they've awarded you the job, you can go through the details and you can agree on the time and then just say, great. Now, in order to hold that time, I need you to award me the job because I can't do the live directed session or share any contact information for the invite until I'm awarded the job. And then it forces their hand because sometimes when they're trying to book a session with you, if they haven't awarded you the job, the shitty part about it is sometimes they've got a few people that they had in mind and they hadn't awarded the job yet because they're trying to hold all of you until the client decides last minute, then everybody else gets released. I don't like that practice, but that practice is common, which is why I always try to force their hand and tell them to award me the job before I jump in the session. Now, this is specifically for voices.com. On voices.com specifically, do not do a live directed session until they've awarded you the job. Outside of voices.com, that's normal practice. You do the live directed session, then you send them an invoice, and they pay you like 30 days, sometimes 60 days down the road. That's the juice. I have see, I can transcribe my audio to my comments. That's how I answer everybody's comments in VoiceOver School because I can't type that fast. So I just speak into it. And I'm going to leave that. So that's the juice. I'm going to comment on that. That was 3 hours ago. So that was super early this morning. I usually get to people's questions like that as quick as I can. But any of you watching me in VoiceOver School, if you have an emergency like that and it's time sensitive, just DM me just to make sure I get it. And I'll answer like right away. Now, on to the question you've been waiting for. How is it that you can get no listens on voices.com and no likes on a job and still get the job? So here's the answer. Heidi went through this and she's saying, just a reminder, just because you didn't get shortlisted. I did an audition on VDC last week, really liked the script, felt like it fit their description on what they were looking for. I'm never really happy with my reads. Nobody really is. Always think I can do better. There was a listen, but no shortlist, which kind of messed with my caw. I can't read today. This is how I warm up, by doing videos. No, I don't. I warm up by doing singer YouTube videos and tongue twisters. I actually felt good about it. Cut to today during the Q&A. I started getting messages. Loved your read, but our budget is a bit lower. Would you work with us? They weren't asking for the moon, just a little lower. Coordinating an LDS for next week. I'll share the brand once it's done. I'm very superstitious, but it's a cool spot considering the brand. Okay, cool. Yeah, that's all we need to know. So here's the thing. On voices.com, when you look at the jobs that you've submitted to, here, I'll just show you. This is probably the best way to do it. So when we go into voices.com, we'll go to look at the shortlists. This will say listened. This has a listened and a shortlist. So as we go down, you'll see this one hasn't been listened to or got a shortlist. You'll see quite a few of them, quite a few that didn't get listened to. And people will say, oh, like, look at those gaps, right? People say, oh my God, like, these people didn't even listen to my audition. Like, half my auditions aren't even getting listened to, let alone shortlisted. Clients on voices.com, clients who have a paid account, they can download all the auditions. They don't have to listen to them at once because it's oftentimes not the marketing agency that's making the choice. They might thin the herd a bit if they're going through all that, or oftentimes they'll download everyone's audition and they'll send it to the client and they'll just listen to MP3 after MP3 after MP3, and then they'll tell the marketing agency that's on voices.com, they'll tell the client who the selects are and who they're hiring. Sometimes they just say, hire this person. Oftentimes I'll get bookings where it looks like they didn't listen and didn't shortlist my stuff because they downloaded it like everybody else's, send it to the client picked, and bam, I got the job. When you're looking at those stats in voices.com, don't let them drive you crazy. There is more people listening to jobs than it appears, and you're getting more shortlists than it appears. Shortlists are important for the algorithm because it helps the algorithm know that you're a bookable voice actor, and it'll send you more auditions over time if you get a lot of those. But that's just the way the platform works. So don't get too caught up on those numbers. Get your auditions in as fast as you can. Ask for a like in your proposal and do the best job you can, and then just let the cards fall where they may. sure, listen to auditions that you got shortlisted on, just to hear what it sounds like a shortlisted audition, especially if you're newer. That kind of information can help. Think about, like, how did I start? What was my tone? Like, was I, conversational? Was I not conversational? What is it that you think maybe got you the shortlist? You can study the ones that you got, but ones that you didn't get, don't worry about it. It's not that big a deal. This is the end of the first Monday sort of Q&A answer for YouTube, VoiceOver School comments, all that. And comment below, you guys, if you want to get your questions answered next Monday. We're going to be doing this as a weekly thing because I see so many comments on YouTube that, I can't always get to. So I'm going to get to them in here. And some of the most important things I think can help you guys that we see come up in VoiceOver School, I'm going to tell you guys the answers to those too. If you want to go deeper and you want to get your hand held and join the other 260 killers that are making this business work for them and dominating in a world of AI, check out VoiceOver School. Links are below. And other than that, we will see you guys next time. And let me know, do you like this format? Is this cool for you? What else do you guys want to know about? You want to know about my personal life? We're going to talk a little on Fridays. We're going to get a little bit looser. We got a ton of content coming for you guys. A lot of stuff that's going to help you in VoiceOver. And I'm going to make some a little personal so you guys can get to know me a little bit more too. Other than that, I'm Jesse, and keep plugging away. We'll see you guys next time.